Not a good day unless you bleed. Alright, so this project, I built this shed 5 years ago. It is on concrete footer blocks. There are 2 vents. There's one right here behind all that stuff. And then there's another one on this side. Over after I built it, he wanted a lean-to put over here. So there's no airflow underneath there, unfortunately. And that, along with this being a natural ditch in his yard, has created quite a problem. As you can see, the floor is extremely, well, that leg was sitting on the floor at one point in time. Underneath here, right through here, every one of these joists is broken, and they're 2x8s. They're totally snapped all the way through, which sucks. So what I'm going to do is clean it out, cut the floor all the way around, replace the decking, and replace all 8 floor joists. It's going to be fun considering it's a standing building, but shouldn't be too bad. Let's dig into it. Alright, I got it all cleaned out. Shut the door. It's about 38 degrees outside. It's a little chilly. You can see it dips drastically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my circular saw and I'm going to run all the way around the outside edge to bust it loose. Then I'll pull it up. This decking actually goes up underneath the seal of the bottom of the frame. Not that big of a deal. I'm going to cut right up next to it, and then I'll just put in an extra rafter when I lay the new decking down to make it work. So just in case you're wondering, I've done this before, and that's the best way to do it, unless you want to tear everything down and go from scratch. So you just leave that 3.5-inch piece of decking underneath the bottom seal of the frame. So I'm going to cut it out and tear it up, and then come back to you and you can see the lovely frame. Actually, what I might do is cut right through here, cut one section out and open that up. That way you can see what I'm dealing with, and it's pretty nasty. There you go. There's 8 of them. Every one of them are just that rotten. Nothing wrong with them. I don't think these are treated. I know that outside board and the one on top of the bricks is treated. I think it's called a seal plate. So I'm going to keep demoing. That's basically what every one of these look like all through here. They're all snapped. Not a good day unless you bleed. Alright, so that is all the decking. I used a pry bar for a little bit of it. Most of it come out with your hands. 2x8s, actually just crumbling apart. Advantech flooring is really good flooring. They're using it in all the houses now. You can let it set out and get soaking wet for, you know, the whole entire time you're building the house until you get it in the dry, and it's fine. So this was a long time of slowly coming in and rotting it all out. It was probably the solidest piece I had, and the rafters were bad almost all the way up to this other seal plate. The seal plate over here is good. You put your concrete block. I use tar paper doubled up, layer of sheet metal, This is just flashing. Then a treated 2x4 anchored into the block is the proper way to do it, at least in my area. And then this is always treated, and this is always treated. Your floor joists don't have to be treated. I didn't plan on treating them, or I don't believe these are treated. I hope they're not. That's really bad if they rot that bad. I don't remember. I don't believe. I know these other two boards I just pointed out are. So the seal plate's still good all the way around. There's nothing wrong with it here. That's just surface mold. That's still in good shape. So I'm gonna clean it all up, and the stuff that's still in good shape just with surface mold, I'll use kilts on to kill the mold. This did not have a moisture barrier underneath of it. I had several crews, several people working on this one. Somehow we missed the moisture barrier. Like I said, there are two vents. There's the other one, but it does go into an enclosed space, so there was no way for air to circulate underneath here. If air would have been circulating, even without a moisture barrier, I still think you would have had a little bit of rot, not this extent. So, a couple things. This was a natural ditch in the yard that I didn't notice when I built it, which is probably the main reason it's all rotten. Moisture barrier is another one. And then it looks like one of the main points of intrusion was right up here at this plate. He was going to use this to ride his riding lawnmower up in. And you can see I'm at a very limited amount of space. I think I'm going to put steps back in because this is pretty steep. He's an older guy. So I did put a metal flashing in and caulked it. But over the years, water kept coming in and laying up against this seal plate, or laying up against this piece of trim and rotting this out. So on this side, I'm going to have to replace the seal plate more than likely, and the outside facial piece. Let me grab a hammer. Let's see how bad this is. No, we are. See how bad that is. That's going to have to be replaced. But it looks like once you get past the doorway, I can hear it's not too bad. I mean, that's surface mold, so it was getting bad. So what I'm going to have to do, I left as many of these as I could. Otherwise, the wall is just sitting on top of this outside facial board, and you want something for it to rest against. So since I've got to do so much replacing in here, I'm going to get a couple 4x4s, lean them up against the headers over the windows and the door, screw them in, and use that to hold this wall, help support this wall while I'm replacing all this in here, outside and inside. Right now I'm going to get all this crap out of here, and come back in here and trim this up a little bit. I want to get this cut closer to the wall and square. That way when I bring the new decking in, I don't have to worry about all these jagged cuts that you can see down through here. He's got wall board up here. I need to actually pull this bottom board off and make that a good straight cut. So I'm gonna do some cleanup, get it all spiffied up, and I'll come back to you. Alright, so I'm not a was it CPE? PPE, personal protection equipment. I usually don't wear any of that crap. However, when you're doing anything that has mold in it, wear a mask. Mold or masonry board. About the only time I put a mask on, unless I'm using a paint sprayer. But make sure you're wearing one. This stuff has some nasty chemicals in it that can make you really sick. Alright, so I got it all cleaned off, and word to the wise, get you a little blower. This one is awesome. I don't have many Ryobi tools, but I love this one. It's got several speeds. I put it on low and blew all this out just to get everything off the seal plate, and I did it without making a complete mess inside the shop. So get you up lower. Okay, so we'll just start around here. This is mostly surface mold, so I'm just going to clean that up. Not worry about the seal plate on this side. You will notice, let's see if I can get an angle, that board is tilted, so I'm going to get some 2x8s and cut some splices to put in here just to help hold that wall up straight, because it's going to be a while before I can come back, and I don't want the building shifting. I left some plates in here. These are bad. The only reason I left them in there is just to keep this wall from twisting on me. So I'm going to get some more for these outside edges, because the outside edge on both sides is kinking. And then, like I said, I'm going to get a couple more 4x4s, put one in that windowsill, one in that, and then I've got one in the doorway. That way I can do that work. So that's just got surface mold on it. I can clean that up. There's nothing wrong with this back seal plate. This seal plate over here is in good shape as well. Oops, sorry. This seal plate over here is in good shape as well. This one's not bad in here, and I'm probably going to salvage as much as I can, because I'm a little nervous about jacking the building up to replace this whole seal plate and not kinking or breaking or throwing something off. I am a one-man crew, so either way, I am going to have to replace from probably here all the way down, probably to that corner, both this 2x10 and this 2x8. That whole area is going to have to be replaced. And then we're going to go back with probably, if I can get them, cypress 2x8s, something that's pretty resilient to water. In addition, I am going to eventually clean all this up. We're going to pour about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of concrete in this whole area to help prevent moisture coming up from the dirt and getting into the wood. Don't know where I lost you there. So instead of putting concrete down, I think what I'm going to do is just put a moisture barrier up, run it up the walls, and tack it into the seal plate all the way around. That'll keep all the moisture in underneath the plastic, and then I'll seal it around the vents. Not real sure how to do that yet, because usually if your moisture barrier comes all the way up, all the way around, you don't want any ventilation underneath your house. You're just trying to seal everything up. So I've heard people go on both sides of the fence on that one. So contemplating what I'm going to do. I think instead of concrete, because that's going to be all handbags, and it's going to suck pretty bad, because this is only about 1.5 yards of concrete to do a 2-inch slab, and you got to at least have 3 yards to get a concrete truck in my area to deliver. So I've got to figure out something for the moisture barrier better than it is. So cypress or something really resilient to water for the ceiling joist, or for the floor joist, and putting a set of steps in. Like I said, if I don't know who did this caulk job. It's kind of irrelevant because I'm the licensed contractor, so it wasn't me. If you have to put in caulk this thick, you need to rethink what you're doing. You should only need a thin seal of caulk, if any caulk at all. You don't need that much caulk, not in one spot. So I'm gonna have to fix that. That was the main point of water getting in, was right here. It rotted out. That's a treated 2x10. And like I said, I just built this about 5 or 6 years ago. But I'll come back in and fix all of it. Gonna be fun. Alright. I'll bring you back to this one when I come back to do more work.